Prepare to be transported to an era of unprecedented change and excitement. Welcome to the 1920s, where the echoes of jazz filled the night and bold new fashions redefined society. Imagine standing amidst the bustling streets of Harlem during its Renaissance, or feeling the thrill of Charles Lindbergh's groundbreaking flight across the Atlantic. Join us as we uncover the top 20 fascinating facts about this remarkable decade that forever changed the course of history. Number 20. Roaring Twenties. The 1920s, often called the Roaring Twenties, was a period marked by significant economic prosperity, cultural shifts, and social changes. The decade was characterized by a break from tradition, leading to the emergence of new lifestyles and ideologies. This era saw the rise of consumer culture, with people spending more on goods and entertainment, contributing to the overall sense of optimism and excitement. Number 19. Jazz Age. Jazz music became the soundtrack of the 1920s, with legendary musicians like Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington leading the charge. This musical genre, known for its improvisational style and energetic performances, symbolized the cultural revolution of the time. Jazz clubs and speakeasies became the hotspots for social gatherings, where people from all walks of life came together to enjoy this new, vibrant sound. Number 18. Prohibition. The 18th Amendment, enacted in 1920, ushered in the era of Prohibition, banning the manufacture, sale, and transportation of alcoholic beverages. This led to the rise of illegal speakeasies and bootlegging operations, as people sought ways to circumvent the law. The Prohibition era also saw the growth of organized crime, with figures like Al Capone becoming infamous for their illicit activities. Number 17. Flappers. Flappers were the embodiment of the new liberated woman of the 1920s. These young women defied traditional norms with their fashion choices, including short skirts, bobbed hair, and bold makeup. They embraced a carefree lifestyle, often seen dancing the Charleston and frequenting jazz clubs. Flappers represented a shift in societal attitudes towards women's roles and behavior, challenging the status quo and paving the way for future generations. Number 16. Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance was a cultural, social, and artistic explosion centered in Harlem, New York. This movement celebrated African American cultural contributions in literature, art, and music. Figures like Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, and Duke Ellington emerged as prominent voices, highlighting the richness of Black culture and fostering a sense of pride and identity within the African American community. Number 15. Women's suffrage. The 1920s marked a significant milestone in the women's rights movement with the ratification of the 19th Amendment in 1920. This amendment granted American women the right to vote, empowering them to participate fully in the democratic process. The suffrage movement had been a long and arduous battle, and this victory symbolized a major step towards gender equality. Number 14. Technological advances. The 1920s were a time of remarkable technological progress. The widespread adoption of automobiles, spearheaded by Henry Ford's Model T, revolutionized transportation and made cars accessible to the average American. This decade also saw advancements in aviation, household appliances, and communication technologies, transforming everyday life and fueling economic growth. Number 13. Radio. Radio emerged as a powerful medium for entertainment and news in the 1920s. With the establishment of the first commercial radio station, KDKA in Pittsburgh, regular broadcasts began, bringing music, news, and serialized dramas into homes across the country. The radio became a unifying force, connecting people and shaping public opinion like never before. Number 12. Cinema boom. Hollywood experienced a golden age in the 1920s, with the film industry booming and silent films captivating audiences. Icons like Charlie Chaplin and Mary Pickford became household names. The decade culminated in a revolutionary moment with the release of The Jazz Singer in 1927, the first feature-length film with synchronized dialogue, marking the advent of talkies and transforming cinema forever. Number 11. Charleston Dance. The Charleston Dance craze swept the nation in the 1920s, embodying the exuberant spirit of the decade. With its lively, fast-paced movements and syncopated rhythms, the Charleston became a symbol of the carefree and rebellious attitudes of the time. It was particularly popular among flappers and jazz enthusiasts, often seen lighting up the dance floors of speakeasies and nightclubs. Number 10. Economic boom. The post-World War I economic boom of the 1920s saw a surge in consumer spending, stock market speculation, and overall economic growth. This period of prosperity, often referred to as the Roaring Twenties, was characterized by rising incomes, increased production, and the birth of a consumer-driven society. People flocked to buy new products like automobiles, radios, and household appliances, fueling further economic expansion. Number 9. Art Deco. The Art Deco movement emerged as a defining style of the 1920s, influencing architecture, design, and fashion. Characterized by geometric shapes, bold colors, and lavish ornamentation, Art Deco reflected the opulence and modernity of the era. Iconic buildings like the Chrysler Building in New York City and the theaters of Hollywood showcase this glamorous and forward-thinking aesthetic. Number 8. Sports heroes. The 1920s saw the rise of sports heroes who became national icons. Babe Ruth, known as the Sultan of SWAT, dominated baseball with his incredible home runs, while boxer Jack Dempsey captivated audiences with his fierce matches in the ring. These athletes became symbols of American success and ambition, inspiring fans and contributing to the growing popularity of sports as entertainment. Number 7. Scopes Trial. In 1925, the Scopes Monkey Trial highlighted the conflict between science and religion. High school teacher John T. Scopes was accused of violating Tennessee's Butler Act, which prohibited the teaching of evolution in public schools. The trial became a national spectacle, pitting famous defense attorney Clarence Darrow against prosecutor William Jennings Bryan. The case underscored the tension between modern scientific theories and traditional religious beliefs. Number 6. Lindbergh's Flight. Charles Lindbergh became a national hero after completing the first solo non-stop transatlantic flight in 1927. Flying his aircraft, the Spirit of St. Louis, from New York to Paris, Lindbergh's daring journey captured the imagination of people worldwide. His achievement not only advanced aviation technology, but also symbolized the spirit of innovation and adventure that defined the 1920s. Number 5. Stock market crash. The decade ended with the Wall Street crash of 1929, a catastrophic event that led to the Great Depression. The stock market had been a symbol of the economic boom, with rampant speculation and soaring stock prices. However, the sudden crash wiped out fortunes and triggered a global economic downturn, marking the end of the Roaring Twenties and ushering in a period of hardship and financial instability. Number 4. Fashion Revolution. Fashion in the 1920s underwent a dramatic transformation, with shorter hemlines, looser silhouettes, and a move away from restrictive garments. Designers like Coco Chanel revolutionized women's fashion, introducing more practical and stylish clothing that reflected the new freedoms and changing roles of women in society. The iconic flapper dress became a symbol of the era's bold, modern attitude. Number 3. Lost Generation. Writers like Ernest Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald, known as the Lost Generation, captured the disillusionment and moral ambiguity of the post-World War I era. Their works, such as The Great Gatsby and A Farewell to Arms, explored themes of decadence, idealism, and the American dream, offering a critical view of the society and culture of the 1920s. Number 2. Scientific and medical advances. The 1920s saw significant progress in science and medicine. In 1921, Frederick Banting and Charles Best discovered insulin, providing a groundbreaking treatment for diabetes. In 1928, Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin, which would later revolutionize the treatment of bacterial infections. These advancements improved public health and set the stage for future medical breakthroughs. Number 1. Immigration Act of 1924. The Immigration Act of 1924 limited the number of immigrants allowed entry into the U.S. through a national origins quota. This legislation reflected the nativist and isolationist sentiments of the era, aiming to preserve the American demographic composition. The act significantly reduced immigration from Southern and Eastern Europe and virtually excluded Asians, shaping the American population for decades to come. That wraps up our journey through the vibrant and transformative 1920s. From the jazz-infused nights to groundbreaking flights, this decade was a time of profound change and enduring legacies. If you enjoyed discovering these fascinating aspects of the 1920s with us, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more curated lists and deep dives into various historical periods. Thanks for watching, and we can't wait to explore more in our next video.